Hello, everybody. Welcome to our latest Live Motocross podcast. As I'm joined by Sidecarcross stars Brett Wilkinson and Joe Millard, who are getting prepared for the upcoming event at Foxhill in the World Championships. Obviously, really excited about this one. A little bit off motocross, but it's really exciting. What these guys do is absolutely incredible, and they're machine athletes for sure. And before we welcome them, we'd like to thank everyone for listening and supporting the website. We really appreciate it all. We'd also like to thank our sponsors in Fly Racing, Firepower Batteries, Dirt Store, and Fuchs Silkaline for all their incredible support. As without them, none of this would be possible. All right, welcome, Brett. Firstly, mate, how's life? And thanks for joining us in your busy schedule.
All good here, yeah. In England, actually got some decent weather, so hopefully it stays for next week for the GP.
Yeah, Joe was just saying, obviously, welcome to you, Joe, as well. He was saying you could do with a little bit of rain, so it's actually raining here in Australia where I am, mate. So hopefully we send some your way. So, yeah, welcome as well, Joe. Thanks for taking the time.
No worries. Yeah, we could. Yeah, it's going to be dry next week if we don't get some rain, so we could do with a little bit. Not on the day, but just before would be nice.
Yeah, sounds good. Absolutely. We look forward to it. And tell us a little bit about this weekend's event at Foxhill. It's going to be really exciting for you lads to get out there in front of the home fans and, yeah, put on a show. It's obviously super high competition, but it's exciting to get stuck in and, put on a show for the fans. So we'll start with you, Brett. If you're looking forward to it.
Yeah, yeah, I can't wait. These opportunities don't come around a lot, really, for us being from England. They don't run many GPs here, so I think it's only it'll be my second GP to ride in, hopefully. So yeah, I can't wait, and the home support always helps as well, and it's not that far from home, so hopefully a lot of family and friends can come and watch.
Oh yeah, it's going to be incredible. Really looking forward to it. It's not far from our house either, and the track's really good. Again, same with me. It'll only be my third home Grand Prix. Yeah, they don't tend to do so many in England, but it's going to be incredible. Hopefully.
Yeah, looking forward to it for sure. And all the fans definitely go and check it out. And I guess, how's the season so far for you guys been? And I guess, what are your goals for the rest of it? Obviously, you're racing domestically and Europe, many other different championships you guys sort of chasing around the world. It's pretty impressive what you do. So, firstly, Joe, goals and how's it all been so far?
Yeah, it's been a good start to the season. We've had two English Championship rounds already, so we've got a little points lead in that. And currently, we've only had one World Championship round last weekend in Czech Republic, and yeah, come away sixth there. So really chuffed with that. It sort of started late this year, the World Championship. It's a lot more compact as the year goes on, but yeah, it's going to be. We'll see how the year ends out for us. So we were fifth in the world last year, so we're hoping to just try and improve on that really.
So, yeah, obviously, you had the recent round in Czech Republic. How do you lads go with all the travel? It must be a bit of a logistical nightmare getting that sort of all dialed in. And what does your race day setup look like? Do you have mechanics? Do you have a bit of a support crew? And how does it all take shape? Because it must be a lot of work for you lads, just getting to each race and then actually racing as well. It must be pretty mentally and physically demanding.
Yeah, it's yeah, big organisation really. We obviously I book all the boats and we do a lot of driving ourselves to the races. We leave obviously days off work to get there. So like for Czech, we left on Wednesday night to make sure we was there Thursday night. Didn't stop driving and get there. Set up a we've got one of the best setups really in the pits with the awning and the truck and bikes and yeah, it all looks pretty good. And we've got two mechanics. Yeah, we've got quite a good team behind us really, and a lot of supporters here and in Europe. So yeah, it's nice to go there, and yeah, it looks real professional to set up. So happy with that. Yeah.
Oh, awesome, mate. Yeah, it sounds like it's a huge body of work because the amount of races you guys do is quite massive. You're probably looking at over 20 in a season from what we're hearing. So, how do you find time for training? How many days do you train per week? I'm guessing it's on and off bike as well. You've got to sort of leave no stone unturned to get these wins and, be battling for the victories and podiums and this. So, how does that all look like for you guys?
Well, it's pretty hectic because we've all got full-time jobs, so it's always like after work. So I mean, I try and do a bit of training every day, really. But yeah, as for riding the bike, we never do any midweek riding. It's all weekends, and once the season gets going, there's so many races that you don't practice anymore. You just everything's just a race. So it's yeah, it's hard squeezing it all in with families and that, but yeah, you want to do well, so you put in, what you want to get out.
Yeah, it's super impressive the amount of work that must go in. It looks like, those machines are really rapid and, do you have a lot of good technicians and sort of suspension and engine, building that goes on there? And obviously it's a very specialized thing. So I guess, Brett, all that has to get dialed as well, all the parts and everything you need, a complete armory. And, it's a lot of people that I'm sure help you, mate. I'm sure you guys do a lot of it yourself just to
Yeah.
make it happen too. But there must be some pretty handy sort of blokes that help you on the side with the actual bike as well.
Yeah, yeah. So we got like the engines built in Switzerland. It's starts life as a 450 Husqvarna, and then it's taken out to a 640. But we've actually run a full factory engine this year. We've managed to get older ones, so that's been real good so far. That's what we rode the end of last year, and they seem to be pretty robust and quick. So that's been good. And yeah, the chassis is made in Holland. Um, that's quite a big job to do. So you have to like order it with 3 months in advance to what you want and what spec. And obviously, not a lot of people know, but in England you ride probably the same as Australia. You have a left-hand sidecar and you have a right-hand sidecar. So like the foreigners ride a right-hand sidecar mostly. So it's yeah, it's quite a big thing to organise. But yeah, we got some good people behind us. Yeah.
Yeah, that's impressive, mate. Yeah, it's so much to organise and get dialed in and yeah, make sure the specs are ready for you guys to go and compete. And I guess onto you, Joe. We'll start with this one for you. How did you actually get into the sidecar cross sport? Obviously, it's, a little bit off the usual pathway, but it's really cool. How do you sort of fall into that? Did you have a family background, friends that got into it, or you just sort of fell in love with it?
Yeah, no. So my father and my uncle used to race in the 70s and 80s. So yeah, I grew up sort of not watching them, but watching videos of them. And so my family's always been into sport. And you find it a lot in sidecar cross. It's always normally passed down from generations to do it because, like I say, it's difficult to watch it if you don't know what it is. So yeah, that was it really. So when as soon as I was like 7 or 8, I wanted to do it, and then that's how I sort of got into it.
And it just builds from there. And obviously, I'll ask the same one to you, Brett. How did you get into it, mate? Is that a similar story for you too?
Yeah, similar really. Like obviously Joe's dad and uncle were like Grand Prix winners themselves. But yeah, my backgrounds, my uncle and dad were both sidecar riders as well. But they started in solos, which they was pretty quick with as well. So but they moved over to sidecars when they was in their like late 20s and had some good results as well. My uncle was good in the British Championship, up there all the time. So and they both rode GPs, but never won any GPs at all. But yeah, same sort of thing, just passed down from generation, really.
Yeah, that's really cool. And obviously, it gets to a point where you realize you're good enough and you have the skills to race at the world championship level. So, Joe, for you, when was that point for you? You realized you could sort of do this as a professional?
Well, I don't know really. I sort of always dreamed I'd be able to get up there in the World Championship. Um, but yeah, it was I rode for 4 or 5 years before I could actually start, going to try and qualify because it's like nowadays you still got to qualify to race on the Sunday. So you sort of go a few times, don't qualify, and then eventually you just get a bit quicker, and then yeah, so it was good. I don't know. I think I was about because you can't start till you're 16 really racing. Um, in the UK anyway. And then I think I was doing the World Championships at about 20 or 21. So yeah, done it ever since, really.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive for sure. And obviously, Brett, for you, how is the scene in the UK? Is it a big sort of community, a lot of people competing in it and, even training in pre-season or even growing up? How did you find getting access to tracks? Is it just you're using motocross tracks a lot of the time, or do you have a lot of specific ones for sidecar? It's probably a challenge you face like a lot of other athletes.
Yeah, so yeah, when you first start, you obviously it's like anything, you start in like a field, don't you? But here you struggle a bit for tracks that allow you to ride. You used to back when I started as well as Joe, you used to be able to ride at quite a few different tracks. But now if you were starting, you've got 3 or 4 tracks in England that would let a sidecar in. So it's real difficult now to start. But yeah, no, I was the same really. I come into it and I was quite quick into the GPs, but I had to have a few times not qualifying and that, but it was cool to do it all like that really, and not just come in and qualify. It was quite nice to work your way up, get faster as you go.
Yeah, that steady progression and just keep working hard. And obviously the dedication and the passion for it's clearly there with you blokes to, get to that really elite level. And I guess how did you guys actually get together as a combination and what makes you click as a team as well? Because obviously there's a lot of trust involved going on there. So we'll start with you on that one, Joe.
Yeah, so I'm a little bit older than Brett, and I used to race with my brother, and we used to race against Brett's uncle. So I always sort of saw Brett when he was a bit younger, and then we were always sort of mates, but obviously racing each other, battling at the top end for the British title and that, but with different riders. And then yeah, sort of 3 or 4 years ago, we decided to have a go together, and that was sort of it really. It was just right place, right time. So yeah, that's sort of how we end up riding together, and yeah, we've had some great results together. So it's been great.
Yeah, found a good formula, obviously, Brett. And is it tough to find a good partner that sort of, knows what you're thinking and knows what you're going to do and sort of has good anticipation? And because it's pretty wild what you guys do, really massive speeds, big jumps. It's pretty wild when the fans actually get to see it. It's probably one of those things. Once you get the fans into it, they get pretty hooked because it's super impressive. So yeah, just your take on that.
Yeah, it's real tough to find someone you can gel with really. Like now with Joe, it's like second nature really. Just it's hard to explain, but like say if I want to pass someone up the inside and square the corner, Joe sort of knows it's happening. So he's ready for that. Do you know what I mean? And it's so nice to be able to ride like that. And with jumps and things, Joe's never afraid of them. So that's also good. Like last week in Czech, there was this massive uphill triple, and I didn't really think about it too much. But Joe's like, "Yeah, we can get over that." But it's like it's nice to have
But we
someone next to
didn't.
you. Yeah, it's nice to have someone next to you who actually like pushes you on to do them sort of things. But yeah, and yeah, we didn't make the triple, but we stayed on it and we tried it. So it was nice to be, yeah, it's nice to ride with Joe for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. And Joe, for you, mate, looks like you got to be pretty agile, predicting everything that's going on. There's a lot of movement coming from you, mate. Looks super dangerous, to be honest, mate. Have you had heaps of injuries and like some pretty gnarly crashes and stuff that you've come off second best, or are you pretty good at getting out of the way of that?
Yeah, I've had a good career. Let's put it that way. But yeah, we've had some big crashes, and yeah, it is nice. It was like the first time we ever rode together. We drove all the way to Spain, and you always, you sort of think, God, this is, you're going to a big track in Spain. You haven't ever rode together, and it was like we gelled straight away. So it was so good, and yeah, you have got to be a bit of a mind reader at times, and obviously it doesn't always work, but 95% of the time it's good. Yeah, so.
Yeah, really cool, mate. And Brett had a few massive crashes over the time, mate. It looks like in those ones where if you have a crash, it's going to be a pretty big one and going to be pretty nasty. So you've probably experienced a few over the years.
Yeah, I've had my fair share, that's for sure. I've had some of them. I think I'm probably had the most out of a lot of people, really. But I had a lot young when I first started, and I didn't get away with them. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
my first year riding, I done my back. My second year riding, I broke my leg. My third year riding, I broke my shoulder. It just went on, and then luckily it carried on. And yeah, as you get faster, you get a bit more clever, and yeah, you sort of know when to be a bit more patient. So yeah.
Yeah, good stuff, mate. It's definitely like you get the strategy, the racecraft, the tactics, all just sort of as you mature and discipline with age usually and experience, it all comes together. So yeah, it's pretty
And
cool, mate.
having a good
Hopefully.
passenger to keep you on free wheels, that's the main thing.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Yeah. Do you find it, Joe, for you? I don't know if you have like obviously there's motocross comparisons. Are the machines obviously a little bit more stable potentially, or is the risk higher or less of crashing from your guys' knowledge of both disciplines?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously, you can't, with the sidecar, you can't just drop it in the corner. Um, so yeah, they are a bit more robust, and it is obviously the overtaking's a bit harder. So you
Mm.
sort of, you sort of take your chances a bit more, and sometimes you sort of crash. But I think, yeah, in general, they're a bit more stable than the solos, obviously.
And then with Brett racing at both levels, you probably have to know your competition when you're going to make one of those moves, or they're going to make a move on you. Obviously, some guys are a bit more aggressive than others, and if you're going to make the move, you want to make it stick. So that's probably a pretty key aspect of your sport, is setting up the passes so you make it stick, so there's no retaliation.
Yeah, like that's the thing with a sidecar. You need to set the pass up. You can set it up like a few corners before, really, but with the racing wise, yeah, some people you need to be really hard with to pass because they'll do the same to you, and then there's other people who kind of not move out your way, but they won't put up much of a fight if you like rush down the inside or yeah. So yeah, you know who to be hard with, really.
Yeah, that's cool, mate. And obviously, Joe, for you, do you find, at the world championship level, is there like the top, 15 guys are all, capable of podiums? How's the competition? Obviously, it's a really high level and there's a lot of super fast teams out there. And I guess another one, the side question is, what is the difference between, the top guys and maybe the not so top guys? Does it come down to finances like in a lot of motorsport too?
Yeah, I think definitely the top 10 in the world. I think maybe all of them have won a race over the last few years. So yeah, the battle, definitely the battle from third to eighth or ninth is real tight. You could be third in one race, ninth in the other. So yeah, the start is very important. But yeah, so you're always battling in the world championship. And I think that not I don't think finances make a massive difference. I think training does.
Yeah.
I think you can see the people that put the hard work in the winter physically, and because the races are 30 minutes plus two, and yeah, you see the people after 20 minutes they start fading, and then you see who the strong ones are. And I think the ones that are in the top five in the world are the ones that are training the hardest.
Yeah,
I
no,
believe.
that's really cool. That's awesome. And Brett, for you, how was your preseason heading into this one? Both of you lads, was it, pretty arduous? Do you obviously, I think you went to Spain, possibly was it? It's like a lot of the motocross dudes, and you're just putting in that hard graft, putting in that base so you can have such a good season, because it really is a key, part of it, especially you guys probably need to chase the good weather that time of year as you build up to the season. But how was yours personally for you guys?
Yeah, mine was good. I like where we live 2 hours away, you can't ever train together in the gym or nothing, which is a shame. But yeah, I've got like a personal trainer, and a day every session I was at, never missed one, so I was happy with that. And then Spain was good, but you could do with yeah 2 weeks there really, and like a break in between. But where we're all working, you just can't really do that. And then when we did go to Spain, actually we went down there for the good weather, and it ended up raining one of the days. And then you think, and then yeah, we didn't do as much riding as we wanted, but yeah, the GP last week showed that we're on the pace, so that was nice to recognise that.
Yeah, absolutely. And for you, Joe, obviously the aim is to finish top three in the world championship, be winning races consistently and just banking points as much as possible, because it seems like you guys definitely have the speed and the infrastructure around you to make it happen.
Yeah, so it's just so important if you can, for us really, we need to work on consistency of because we're not going to win loads of races, but if we can be consistent, that's where it's at for us. So yeah, you just want to try and come top five in all the races, and you'll be somewhere near the top three at the end of the year. Obviously, it's so difficult, and like Brett already touched on, we got a left side sidecar, and a lot of the Europeans have got a right side sidecar. So some tracks suit you, some don't. Depends how much water they put on. Because the ratio normally there's only like five or six of us on the left side car compared to like 25 on the right side car. So obviously, if there's a lot of water gone on the track, it takes a long time for your line to dry. But then if you race in the deep sand, it comes better for you, the line. So it's a fine line, but you got to sort of take the good with the bad and just try and be consistent. That's the main thing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's pretty crazy, doing all the hard, soft surfaces. Do you find, Brett, what's your particular favorite? Do you prefer the hard or the soft stuff? And is there obviously quite a few Dutch guys that love the sand as well? They're pretty experts in it, like Moto. Do you find that?
Yeah, quite funny, really. I love the sand, so um, yeah, like normally coming from England, you'd be used to riding on the hard pack, but where growing up, we always tried to ride the Dutch Championship from the start of the year, and I've always enjoyed riding the sand, like Lommel. You've seen that, yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, I love it because it comes a bit more down to fitness as well, and yeah, we're always strong in the sand, me and Joe. So I love it when we get to a sand race.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, you often don't get, yeah, it's usually those particular skill set comes with that. So it's good you obviously have a wide string to your bow, you bloke, so you can compete on any track, which is a really big asset. And Joe, for you, I guess, for what you do, what's like the most important part of, being the passenger? What skill or technique I guess do people underestimate in what you do? You both have to be really fearless, but for you especially, what are your sort of key takeaways to being successful at what you do?
I don't really know. Just sort of train as hard as you can, really, and try and be headstrong. I think for a passenger, if you're not headstrong, it's very difficult, because you're not picking when to slow down or speed up. You've got to just hang in there the whole race. So for me, what I've always done is just trained as much as I could in the winter, and then try and enjoy the races. And if you have a good winter training physically, then yeah, the racing becomes more fun, which is what it should be. So yeah, it's just head mental strength. I think is the most important for a passenger.
Yeah, and obviously, Brett, for you as a rider, how much consideration do you obviously have to give to Joe when you're weighing up maneuvers, hitting different sections and jumps, and what are the key skills to being a good driver as well from your perspective, mate? Obviously, you got to be pretty fearless, but you got to have that sort of sense that someone else is with me and not to do anything too wild.
Yeah, I'd like to think I'm not too bad to ride with. Like, if you can try and be smooth, that's probably the main thing. And yeah, sometimes if you like Joe's never ever told me to slow down because of fitness or nothing, so I'm lucky there. And luckily we're always fit together, so not once I don't think we've ever slowed down in a race because of our fitness. So, but yeah, I think if you can be smooth, then it helps Joe a bit and not be erratic and hit jumps the same every lap and bumps the same every lap. Don't keep changing line if it's getting like rough and stuff.
Yeah, you got to be
Yeah.
really on top of the pulse and yeah, being awake to those changes for sure with any sort of dirt racing. It's wild. And I guess with the TV package they put out, do you obviously watch back the races, do plenty of analysis, see what the other guys are doing, see what you could do better, and obviously recognize what you're doing well? That's something that's probably key in your debriefing, is it, Joe?
Yeah, for sure. Always try and watch as many videos as you can after the weekend. Also on the weekend at the World Championship on the Saturdays, we're split into two groups, so you can always go and watch the other group. It's really important because it's like if you're struggling on a jump somewhere, you can go and watch another team and see how they're doing it. So yeah, I'd say all the sidecar riders they do a hell of a lot of watching, and that's when you do most of your learning. I think just watching the others, seeing how they're doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there often a lot of sections like you were mentioning the triple before, Brett, that where you just got to wait for someone else to uncork it and then you know it's possible? That sort of happens quite often. So there's a few obviously challenges you face every weekend and just working out how to overcome it. So is that something you obviously have to talk to together? It's not just one person, you got to weigh up how it's going to affect them.
Yeah, like well last week another team done it, the people who are leading the world championship right now, and then they come over to the truck before the session and said, "Oh, they'd jumped it." And me and Joe was thinking, right. And then so we went out and we done like a slow lap, and Joe said, "What do you think of the triple?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, we'll have a look first on the slow lap, and then if I'm gonna do it, I'll shout in the corner before that we're gonna send it up there." So yeah, just and I said to Joe, we'd have to just hit it full speed, and if it gets up there, it gets up there. If it don't, then it don't. So yeah, it's full speed send, and still like a meter too short. So then we said, no, that's enough of that. But yeah, it's nice
Well,
that you can trust each other to know you're going to hit it. Do you know what I mean? And know that you're going to be there. So yeah, it was good.
Yeah, a bit of a rocky ride, but yeah, you got to try it and just assess it to see how it works out. And do you guys have like some specific, non-verbal, or do you have tried any headsets or anything to communicate with each other when you're riding? That's sort of a big thing going on in motorsport in general, is talking to the rider. So is that something you've ever looked at, or obviously you have a few things that you do, or you're just watching, each other? I guess, Joe, for you especially, you're sort of watching the track, watching him, you sort of know almost telepathically what he's going to do. But have you got any sort of set in stone stuff as well?
No, not really. No one ever uses. Well, I don't think anyone's ever tried it like with the headsets.
You're
But
not
I
allowed, are
mean,
you?
not allowed, are they? No. But
No.
I mean, we walk the track on the Friday or the Saturday and have a look. And as a passenger, you can sort of look at the track a bit. So if you think there's a better line, I can just say to Brett, maybe try this line this lap on the inside or on the outside, and then you can decide if it works. But you sort of keep the talking to a minimum, because you end up trying to talk and then you're slowing down because you're trying to hear what they're saying. So we try not to talk unless there's something obvious we can see. But like, for instance, if I see like a yellow flag ahead, I'll say to him like, yellow flag, so he can, have a look what's where and who stopped where, So, but yeah, it's so noisy. It's so difficult to, talk really.
Yeah, it must be quite hard to hear, and obviously you're so focused and concentrated on what you're doing. Do you think it could be something from your perspective, Brett, one day that comes into it? Obviously, maybe a better tool for coaching or maybe practice, or just to work out those things when you're not in the heat of the battle. It might have a purpose.
Yeah, I don't know really. I just we don't really say a lot at all, really, do we, Joe? And I only ask, like, say if it's getting on in the race and it's nearly finishing, I say to Joe, just shout, "You're all right." That's it, and then he just shouts back, "Yeah," every time. So I don't know why I ask, but yeah, he's
Yeah, I don't think the headsets are ever come into our sport. I don't think. Don't think it'll happen.
It would be handy for, like, if you had not that you get many punches because we run on mooses, but to tell the pit crew you've got a problem. That'd be the only good thing to have, really. Not so much between yourselves. So yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting topic to have. But yeah, it's good to hear your guys' take on it and, see if it was actually had any benefit. But no, that's cool. And obviously before you line up for each race, do you have like a specific sort of routine you get into? Are you sort of like one of those blokes that get charged up listening to music, or are you more sort of calm, almost doing like a meditation? So how does that look for you guys?
Not really. Like, Brett loves the drum and bass music, so he gets a bit of that on, and yeah, we just sort of sit. We sit in a corner by ourselves. We have a little chat, and we just get changed, just the two of us, really, and just it's a nice, sort of relax and just talk about the circuit, and that's it, really. I don't personally have any routines what I do, so yeah, that's sort of just try and relax and just try and tell myself I'm there because I want to be there, and it's going to be hard.
Yeah, there'd certainly be some nerves and pressure going on. You'd probably see some of the other guys, like in any sport, chest banging, head banging, this kind of stuff, mate. So you just obviously focus on yourselves is the way to go, isn't it, Brett?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, stick to your own thing, and yeah, we keep out of the way a bit. Really, we keep ourselves to ourselves and then do the business on the track. But yeah, yeah, no really pre-race routines for me either. Really, we just chill out really before the race and talk a bit. I do get pretty nervous. I'll admit that. I always have got nervous, but once you've done the sighting lap and you're in the waiting box, it's not too bad. But in the build up to the race, yeah, it gets horrible sometimes.
Yeah, mate, it must be crazy. But that's sort of when you know that you're doing what you love and it matters so much and you want to do well. So it's
Yeah.
a kind of a good thing. And once you obviously get out of that gate, mate, it's all systems go. So it's pretty cool. You guys obviously have a super busy schedule. Just tell us actually how many events you're going to compete in this year, for example, Joe. It's crazy. You're probably looking at 20 plus. Really impressive achievement.
Yeah, I'm not actually sure. Probably 20. Yeah, 25 probably. Yeah, we only have 6 or 7 in England, to be honest, and then they're all in Germany or the Dutch Championship. We ride in France a few times. So yeah, it's crazy. Like now, I think after we had this weekend off, and then once we get to Foxhills next week, I think we got 8 races without a weekend off then. So it's going to be crazy. It's like our busy time, in June and July, and before we get another weekend off. So yes, got to try and stay healthy in that time, and hopefully get some good results.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a crazy schedule. You'll be definitely a rare weekend off. So thanks for taking the time to chat to us. But yeah, obviously for you, Brett, how do you perceive the coverage of the sport? Obviously, like anything, it probably deserves more recognition for sure for what you guys do. And how is the industry as a whole? Is it a strong industry? Is it, suffering like a lot of other motorsport industries a little bit at the moment with the cost of living being quite challenging across the globe and yeah, just that kind of stuff. Hard to find sponsors and all this, or you do a pretty good job doing so. But I'd imagine that's another thing you guys probably have to do yourself, and you might not have time for it, but it has to be done, doesn't it?
Yeah, the industry's pretty strong, really. Like, we're probably one of the only world championship motorsports that have actual qualifying still, where if you don't get in Saturday, you go home. So they're still pretty strong. And you're still quite a good following. Like, I think it went really down in the last, like, probably 7, 8 years ago. It went down for a few years, but now it seems like younger people are coming back again, and the sport seems to be growing a bit. But yeah, the sponsors are definitely. It's not like it used to be, that's for sure. It used to be quite not easy, but it used to be a lot easier to go and ask someone for a sponsorship. But now everyone's keeping their money close, and they don't really want to, give it out as such. But yeah, we do all right. We've got some good people behind us, but obviously you can always do with more. But no, we've got some good people around us.
Yeah, that's awesome. It all makes a massive help because you guys, yeah, the schedule, you obviously need a fair chunk of support to get through the season. And I guess for you, Joe, do you see that obviously the youth, the young riders that are coming up, they obviously idolize you blokes and sort of look up to you. And I guess it's pretty cool to impart your knowledge whenever they want some advice and stuff. And I guess there's plenty of fans that come up to you throughout the weekends and just want to pick your brain about various things, and you give them time when you can. But that's obviously cool that you guys are a source of inspiration to the next generation, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. It's the good thing about Sidecarcross is it is quite friendly, really. Like majority of the riders sort of get on. We're not all mates, but we get on and everyone respects everyone. And yeah, it's great if you can, give some, information to some younger guys that are coming up through. I try and help a little bit if they ask, but yeah, it is difficult, but it is great to see, younger generation coming up and still watching us and supporting us, and yeah, it's very nice.
Yeah, very cool. And obviously, for you, Brett, what advice would you give to some up and coming racers or people that haven't really discovered the sport yet, why they should get into it and, just how to go about it? Because it's obviously quite a difficult pathway to get into and just to reach the level you guys at. So, any ways you could potentially fast track that?
That is quite hard to get into because of obviously you can't go to a KTM shop and buy a KTM sidecar. So that's the worst thing about it. But I know in Australia it's coming up because I've sold my last two bikes from 2022, 23, and somebody wants a 24 or will be going to Australia. So it's getting a bit bigger, but yeah, you need some like training days really, or some tryout days. Like years ago, they used to do it here in England, like a tryout day, end of the season, everyone have fun sort of thing. That's how I got in. That's how I rode a sidecar. Started riding. I tried it with a friend, and yeah, loved it. And then that was that really. So you need them sort of days back really if you want to push it to get more people into it. But like in England now, they just started a youth sidecar class, but there's like 2 or 3 teams at the minute. So hopefully it pushes people to do it. But obviously it's down to cost and time, and there's a lot of travelling in England. That's the problem. You have like the youth class is going to be in Scotland with us, and then they're going to be down south here in England. And yeah, it's a lot of travelling if you're just going for a youth class. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
but no, hopefully it pushes it on to get a bit better. But yeah.
Yeah, it's a tough thing to navigate. Obviously, you guys are working full-time jobs as well. And how are the actual fans in the sport, Joe? Obviously, there's some pretty die-hard ones. Some of those European rounds probably get some pretty interesting characters. So the turnout's really strong on the weekend, and you can definitely hear them cheering on the sidelines.
Yeah, definitely. I think it is funny. You get a lot of people from each country really supporting their home teams. Um, and yeah, obviously, there's a lot of people that don't like you that won't support you, and it's quite funny watching it really. But it's great. We do get quite a lot of Brits go to all the Grand Prix, and they're good people. They support all the British teams, and it's great to have them there because some years ago you had not a lot of English fans traveling, and then it was sort of a lonely place without without them there. So yeah, it is good, but yeah, it's a good time.
Yeah, really cool. And obviously for you, Brett, where would you say is the sport most popular? Is it the UK or somewhere like the Netherlands? And obviously Gareth was mentioning some key figures in the UK scene like Edwards and Brad Skeets, I believe. So how is their influence and just, yeah, what is the most popular sort of hotbed for the sport?
Um, yeah, years ago it used to be like um, the Far East, like so Latvia, Estonia. Like Latvia, I think it was their number one national sport. They used to get like 40,000 people at the racing Kegums for sidecars. So then it was massive, but now I think the biggest crowds we get are probably Germany, I would say. Germany is pretty big there. Holland love it. France is big there. They love their motorsport. I think that's the busiest Grand Prix of the year. Where we're going in 2 weeks' time is Brou in France. Um, that's the busiest GP of the year apparently. So yeah, they love it there.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Across Europe, and obviously you guys are doing your best to grow the sport. And I guess for you, Joe, what would be some of the avenues from your perspective that would be a good way to grow the sport? Obviously, trying to get that Instagram where all those, the young people watch those short clips, and because you see it, and the people obviously, really want more of that content and want to get into the sport. So would you say some ideas to grow it, maybe get some energy drinks on board? That's obviously they are pretty good with their content. Any sort of things you do, the promotion of it? I guess you can start with this, Joe.
Yeah, so yeah, it's just social media really. That's how we got to get it moving forward because people see sidecar motocross as it's something older guys do when they're no good at solos. They get to 30 and then decide to do sidecars. But which is how it was when it first started in the 70s, 80s. But now it is you've got young people coming through and people pick it instead of solos. But it's so hard to get like the new fans watching it because anyone who watches it normally loves it, but it's just trying to get it out there. Yeah, it'd be amazing if some energy company, like Red Bull or Monster got involved, but they're just not interested. So yeah, if we could get it, if you get it on television more, that would be amazing. But obviously, all that costs money, and the sport, hasn't got loads of money. So yeah, we've just got to keep pushing it. Like this is amazing. This podcast, hopefully, is to get more people watching it and just get as much content as you can on Instagram and Facebook. That's the only way, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's cool to have a chat to you guys and learn more about the behind the scenes of what you go through because it is really impressive and surely it'd be appealing to everything from TV networks to any sponsors. So for you, Brett, any solutions you have? I guess the TV package that the World Championship provides is solid, but it's probably, not getting out to the masses. You mentioned in the UK it's on TV and like a highlights style. So it's just more of what Joe said. Is that from your opinion?
Yeah, same sort of thing. If you could get a big title sponsor that would be willing to pay to have it on like Eurosport, BT Sport Live on a Sunday, then I'm sure when you go to sponsors and things, you can say, look, it's going to be live on Sundays, like all around the world. Then I'm sure it'd be more appealing to them. And then obviously it brings more sponsors, then it brings more money. Then yeah, it just goes better and better from there, really. But yeah, hopefully one day it can be on a top sports channel live. That'd be perfect, really.
Yeah, obviously you see some of those European federations and things give various motorsports, like some government support and through that avenue? Is that something you guys receive or are working towards?
No, I tried it years ago. Used to have a lottery funding
Yep.
for like Olympic sport and other sports. But I went right through it, and it was like if you're top 10 in the world at your sport, you get £1,500 a month from the government. And then if you were top five, you got 2,000 a month. And if you was top three, you got like 3,000 a month.
That's good.
And I went through with it, and I was going through with it all the way. And then it got to the end, and they said, "Yeah, you're motorsport." And I said, "Yeah." And then they said, "No, we don't help motorsport." So that was that. But
That's
if I was a
crazy.
table tennis player, I'd have got it.
Wow, you'd think you guys would need it more than anyone, to be honest.
Oh no, yeah, yeah, but yeah,
Crazy. It's the way it works is just sort of baffling. You hear some stories like that. It's just completely outrageous. But hopefully, yeah, people recognize what you're doing, and because you deserve all the credit and respect for what you do. It's no mean feat traveling, across Europe, chasing the dreams, and all you got to do and all the skills you need to have to make it happen is pretty awesome. So I guess Joe, you can answer this one first. Most memorable race or moment of your career so far?
Oh, definitely last year when we won our first Grand Prix together, because I'd been riding since the World Championship since 2008 and had never managed to win one. And yeah, finally in Germany last year we got a win, and it was incredible. That was yeah, dream come true. So it was amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome. Is that the same for you too, Brett, or have you got something else to add?
yeah, that for sure. That's the biggest. But close second to it was last year. Our first race win together was in the sand in Holland. Second heat, that was really good as well. We come through from like fifth, took the lead and won it by like I don't know, 12 seconds I think in the deep sand in Holland, which was our first win together. And then obviously end of the year was the best part when we won that GP with a 2-1. So that was such a good feeling when we won that.
Yeah, awesome, mate. So cool to see all that hard work finally sort of rewarded
Yeah.
and it pays off. And I guess what do you lads like to do when you're not racing? It doesn't sound like you have too much downtime, to be honest. It's either work or racing or working towards the racing. So is there anything you like to do? Any hobbies? Start with you, Joe.
No, I haven't got many hobbies. I got a 9-year-old boy, so he keeps me busy doing stuff. Um, but yeah, other than that, I've done this so long now. I've not really got anything out of the sport. Apart from the racing. So when I eventually give up, I'll probably have to find something to do. Yeah.
And Brett, for you?
Yeah, same really. I just training. I've made training my hobby, and yeah, I do the racing on the weekends, and then I work in like a family business, so it's hard then to stop at 5 o'clock. Do you know what I mean? So you're always there till 7, 8, just doing your bit, just so you can have like so the time off isn't too bad. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, don't really have many hobbies really. I just enjoy my training, and love the racing. So
Yeah, busy life for you lads, schedule pouring all the hours and effort into making it all happen
yeah.
and so you can go racing. And obviously as we wrap this one up, any final thoughts or any opportunities you'd like to say thanks to anyone, any, friends, family, suppliers, the team, technicians, anything like that? We'll start with you, Joe, first.
Yeah, just thanks to everyone that's ever supported us, really. Like my family have always been 100% behind me and my wife. Yeah, I've had some great support over the years. And yeah, that's it, really. It just sort of, I've done it a long time now. And, my family have cancelled parties and they book stuff around me. And they're getting a bit fed up with it now. But, it's that's sort of life. So, yeah.
And you, Brett?
Yeah, my family's always been behind me as well. They're always there, good and bad. A lot of friends who have always supported us and that. Yeah, and thanks to Brad really for putting this GP on next week, because without him, I don't think anyone would take that massive task on of making it happen and raising the money to do it. Because I know it's well in excess of 125,000 just to put a GP on. So he's took the risk, and hopefully it all works for him. So
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, just quickly for you, Brett, for the weekend, any fans that are considering going, make sure you check it out. Guaranteed action for sure, isn't it? And it should be an unbelievable event and it's definitely in for a real box office show.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the World Championship at the minute's super close. You saw that in the second race last week. The first race, we beat the man who won the second race. We beat him in the first one, and then he went and won the second race. So it just shows you that, yeah, he had a ninth and a win. So you can, it'd be great work racing to watch, I think.
Oh, it's awesome. It's going to be an awesome weekend of action for sure. And yeah, thanks very much to you lads for coming on this podcast. It's been awesome to have a chat. We'll definitely have to do it again in the future. And hopefully when you're holding that world title or something like that, for sure, it'd be awesome. And before we let you go, obviously, massive thank you to everyone for listening and supporting the website. Really appreciate it. And obviously, massive shout out to the sponsors in Fly Racing, Firepower Batteries, Dirt Store, and Fuchs Silkaline for all their amazing support. As without them, none of this would be possible. All right, thanks again, lads. Been a ripper podcast and all the best for the weekend. And I'm sure you'll do the home fans proud.
Thank you. Yeah. Cheers.
Thank you. If I win the world title, I'll come to Australia and do a podcast.
Oh, awesome, mate. It'll happen then.
Yeah.
No worries, lads. Have a good one.
Cheers.
Cheers.